The days are coming, says the Lord. Our journey through these 4 weeks of Advent begin with that simple phrase from the prophet Jeremiah in today's first reading. The days are coming. So what about these days that are coming? What should we make of them? What should we be doing? Well, Jesus tells us in the gospel that we should be vigilant during these days, that we should be attentive to the signs that are all around us, signs that indeed will show us the fact that the days are not only coming, but that the days are here. The days are coming, says the Lord. And indeed, as we try to make sense of what these days mean, as we are attentive to the signs that are all around us, things that are going on in our world today, it can be difficult to read the signs of the times, difficult because as we're reading them, we might become anxious about everything that's going on. We might even become fearful. But I would invite us during these days of Advent joy, these days of Advent anticipation, these days of Advent hope, I would invite us to spend these days as our children do, by making a list. Oh, children love this time of year. They love these days that are coming because there's a certain excitement, there's a certain expectation, if you will, there's a certain anticipation, certainly, on their part, hoping that all those things that they've placed on their list might indeed someday be theirs, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Hopefully on that beloved morning called Christmas morning. Yes, children are not afraid to make lists. Why, they make them over and over again. But it seems the older we get, the more less likely we are to make lists, other than the lists of things that we need to get done, because of course our memory is starting to fail us, or at least mine is. I don't know about yours. Those seem to be kind of the lists that we make. Certainly, why, the older we get, we don't need to make lists of those things that we're hoping to receive at Christmas time. After all, there really isn't anything we need or anything we want, it seems. At least that's what we've convinced ourselves the older we get. But thanks to a movie that came out years ago, you and I as adults begin to realize that there's more than just lists to help us remember what we need to get done, but there's also that list called the bucket list. The list of those things that we want to experience. Those lists of encounters that we want to be able to have happen in our life. I would invite you and I as adults who are, perhaps we convince ourselves, too old to make lists, to spend these days that are coming, to spend these days being mindful of that bucket list that you and I need not only to create, but most importantly, to live out. And I would invite us to place in that bucket those relationships that are important to us, those relationships in our life that need mending, those relationships, whether they be with others or with our God, that somehow need a bit of strengthening. Those relationships ultimately that have helped to shape you and I into the people we are today, and hopefully the people that we desire to be, not only today but each and every day of our earthly existence. For these are the days that are coming, that are upon us now, that invite you and I to be able to recognize, not just in the future, not just from the signs where the heavens are shaken and why there are earthquakes and all those kinds of things, but to be attentive to the signs, because, my friends, they're all around us, of the very presence of God who visits you and I now, today, this day. And indeed, once we begin to attune ourselves to recognizing those signs, the signs of the living presence of Jesus Christ that makes his life manifest to us through the gift of love, through the gift of human relationships, through the gift of life itself, once we become attentive to those signs each and every day, why then the days that are coming are days that we look forward to. We don't die of fright. We're not afraid. We're able to, as Jesus says, to be able to raise our heads and to stand erect, because we're not afraid of the days that are coming, because, of course, they are days that we believe in because we've experienced and we've got a glimpse of them right here and right now. We don't have to wait until the end times to encounter the living presence of Jesus Christ that reveals himself as he did 2,000 years ago, and as we prepare for with the feast of Christmas by coming to us as an infant in a crib. And just as Jesus, yes, will come again in that end time where he will gather together his people, when indeed we will see those signs that are talked about in the Gospel of Luke today, we need not wait into the future for it to happen. We need not look into the past to reminisce, to remember, but no, we need to encounter the days that are here. And these days, these sacred days, these days where darkness seems to envelop us so much, why we get a glimpse of the light as we did today through the beautiful sunshine that was ours. And in those few moments of light, we become people of hope. We become people of expectation. We become people that are childlike, who are not afraid to make those lists and to check them twice, and to make sure that we've not only written them down, but that we've been attentive to those relationships that need our attention these days. Because the days are here. They are upon us. To be able to recognize Emmanuel, God with us.